Good day, everyone. We are the Group 8, and we'll be sharing to you the summarization of the film Lean on Me. So, the movie Lean on Me was released in 1989 and directed by Jan G. Avildsen. It is a biographical drama based on the true story of Principal Joe Louis Clark, a determined and fearless educator who took over Eastside High School in Patterson, New Jersey, a school that had fallen into disorder and failure. Through his firm leadership and deep concern for his students, he transformed the school from a place of chaos into a community of hope and learning. So here's the summary of the story. Lean on Me follows the journey of Principal Joe Clark, portrayed by Morgan Freeman, who is tasked with saving its East Side High from academic failure and possible state takeover. When he arrives, the school is plagued by drugs, violence, and a lack of discipline. Clark's leadership style is controversial. He begins by expelling hundreds of students involved in drug dealing, fighting, and chronic absenteeism, believing that removing negative influences is the first step to rebuilding order. However, as the story unfolds, Clark shows that beneath his strictness lies genuine care. He works tirelessly to inspire both teachers and students, constantly reminding them that they are capable of achieving greatness. His greatest challenge is helping the students pass the New Jersey Minimum Basic Skill Test, which will determine the school's future. Through persistence, motivation, and community support, its Eastside High manages to overcome its struggles. The film ultimately shows that true educational transformation requires both discipline and compassion, a balance between authority and empathy.
While The Lean on Me is set in the United States, the issues it portrays, school safety, inclusion, student discipline, and equal access to education, are also relevant to Philippine education. The film reflects several Philippine and international legal foundations that support inclusive and child-centered education. It can also consider as Republic Act number 7610, Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act. This law protects learners from any form of abuse or harm and promotes a safe school environment where their rights and dignity are upheld. It can also be a Republic Act number 9344, Juvenile Justice and Welfare Act of 2006. This act emphasizes restorative justice, meaning children in conflict with the law should be rehabilitated and given guidance rather than punished or excluded. It can be also Republic Act 9155, Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. This law promotes shared governance in education, recognizing that the principal, teachers, parents, and community must work together to achieve school environment. So, it can be also Republic Act 10533 or Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 or K-12 law. These acts ensure that education is learner-centered, inclusive, and responsive to students' individual needs and circumstances. UNESCO's Education for All or EFA initiative, this international commitment advocates for every person's right to quality basic education, regardless of social status, background, or ability. Together, these legal bases emphasize that education should protect, include and empower every learner, values that are deeply reflected in the movie.
Now let us proceed to the scene analysis. So I will explain to you how inclusion and exclusion was shown in the film. So it vividly demonstrates moments of both exclusion and inclusion, many of which can be linked to the legal principles mentioned earlier. At the start of the film, Principal Clark expels around 300 students involved in drugs, gang activities, and violence. While this act seems harsh, it aligns with Republic Act 7610's goal of creating a safe environment free from harm. By removing those who endangered others, Clark aimed to protect the students who genuinely wanted to learn. However, it also raises questions about due process and whether those expelled were given fair opportunities to reform. Later in the movie, Clark confronts a student named Thomas Sams who admits to using drugs. Instead of expelling him immediately, Clark gives him another chance, warning him sternly but also encouraging him to do better. This scene represents Republic Act 9344's spirit of rehabilitation and guidance, reminding educators that students who make mistakes should still be treated with hope, not condemnation. As Clark's reform progresses, he begins to involve teachers, parents, and community leaders in improving the school. This collaboration reflects RA 9155, which stresses shared responsibility and participatory leadership. It shows that sustainable change in education happens when everyone works together, not just under one person's authority. In the latter part of the movie, Clark organizes assemblies and group reviews to help students prepare for the state test. He motivates them to believe that they are capable of success regardless of their background or past behavior. This embodies Republic Act 10533's learners centered approach and UNESCO's Education for All, both of which promote equal access to education and encourage every learner to reach their potential. Through these scenes, Lean and Me portrays inclusion as more than just keeping students in school. It means protecting them, guiding them, involving the community, and believing that each one has the ability to improve. So, for our reflection or the lessons that we have learned in the movie was that Lin and Me is a story of transformation, discipline, and hope. It teaches that true educational reform requires both firmness and empathy. Principal Joe Clark's leadership, though controversial, shows that strong belief in students can awaken their potential and rebuild their confidence. Therefore, as future educators, Lane and Me movie reminds us of important lessons about inclusion, discipline, and leadership. Inclusion means understanding before judging, because every student has a story and deserves a second chance. Discipline, on the other hand, must always come with dignity. Laws such as RA 7610 and RA 9344 reminds us that our responsibility is to guide and protect students, not to condemn them. Leadership, too, is not a one person task. Republic Act 9155 emphasizes that schools thrive when teachers, parents, and the community work together toward a common goal. And as RA 10553 and UNESCO's Education for All remind us, quality education must be inclusive, like meeting learners where they are and helping them grow according to their unique strengths and abilities. So, in the end, Lean on Me movie reminds us that education is not only about raising test scores. It's about raising people. True inclusion begins when we see potential instead of problems, and when we learn to lean on one another to build a community where everyone belongs. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.